This weekend, Arsenal take on Manchester United at Old Trafford. So joining us in the studio from Inside Devils is Angelina Kelly. Angelina, welcome back to Inside Gooners. Now, I'm told the last time you were on was ahead of that FA Cup tie that Manchester United won. So I'm not sure whose decision it was to bring you back on, but welcome.
I got my prediction correct as well, I just want to say for that. So, but yeah, I think things have drastically changed and got even worse for United since I was last here. So, yeah, I'm sorry to be back. Hopefully I can have a bit of an influence, but I highly doubt it.
So what's your feeling going into the weekend's game? Because it feels like every day you pick up the newspapers and there's some kind of leak from Manchester United about what Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe have done wrong this time. What's the mood like around the club at the moment, and how are you feeling about the game specifically?
Mood's horrendous, absolutely horrendous. I mean, it's quite sad. When you think of, maybe not for Arsenal fans, but I guess if we're being neutral football fans, you think of Manchester United, the decline that they're in. It is pretty sad. I think for this game, I was feeling more confident because of the Premier League fixture the last time. Going into that game, I had something tangible. I like to walk away from a game with something positive. And I'm really, really struggling week in, week out to find that now. I think there's a stat that I read that when Arsenal have beaten Man United in the Premier League, it's only been by like 1-0 or something. Yeah. So maybe it's not going to be a total bloodbath. But then after last night, and at the time of us filming, Man United haven't played Real Sociedad, I have got no idea what I'm going to be witnessing. But yeah, overall, mood is terrible and it's just a very, very nervy feeling. You guys had 6 different goal scorers in the Champions League. Man United struggled to have 1. So Rasmus Højlund, 18 games he hasn't scored? I feel sorry for the lad, but it's pitiful.
So you've got Højlund, who's obviously having a really bad run at the moment. Yeah. You've got Joshua Zirkzee, who I'm not sure what his best position is.
I don't think he does either.
I looked at all the stats, all the attacking stats, and 14th is about where Manchester United are in most attacking stats at the moment. Sometimes you're a little bit lower. In terms of conversion rate, I think they're the 17th best team or the 4th worst, whichever way you want to look at it.
I prefer the second way.
Yeah, the question I want to ask you, Angelina, is who do you as a fan want to play up front against the Arsenal? Is it Chido, Obi, or is it one of those players I mentioned?
You know what? It's difficult because Rasmus Højlund, it is kind of sad, and a lot of fans have been saying we need to just pull him now because it's not working. I think when we've played Joshua Zirkzee in that position, it hasn't quite clicked. He's not been horrendous, but this is how bad it is. He's not been horrendous recently, and he's had some good moments, but I think maybe keep him in that position. On Inside Devils, Alex Clarke is desperate for Alejandro Garnacho to start in that number 9 position, which I wouldn't be offended at. My only concern is he does everything right apart from that last decision. That final decision doesn't seem to land. And also, he's been quite good coming off the bench. So when you look at United's depleted squad, is there anyone else that can come off the bench and make an impact? I feel like he's probably the only person that can do that. So that's what makes me nervous about Garnacho. Chido Obi, I think it would be, you can see the headlines, can't you? You know, teenager that snubbed Arsenal, scores a hat-trick against them. I don't think the lad, he seems insanely talented, but he's not quite there yet. I think it would be a big ask to start him in a game like that. I think he would maybe come on at some point, as we've seen. So it goes back to Højlund, and that is just because Man United have got no other options. And maybe Amorim at this point is thinking, I don't know, if I just keep playing him, will it click eventually? But, you know, for people that watched the Fulham game, he got bullied. It was quite, like, I thought I might have to ring someone. Like, I felt so like, is there an authority we can ring that he was getting bullied so badly? Chido Obi comes on and he holds his own. Yeah. So up against your defence, it's going to be a struggle for him. But I think just because of how young Chido Obi is and the fact that United didn't see him as, you know, a starter, the fact that he's not in the Europa League squad, and Jack Fletcher got in over him, Darren Fletcher's son, you know, they clearly don't see him as that kind of player yet, so I think they'll stick with Højlund.
I just feel like with Chido Obi, and obviously we saw a bit of him at Arsenal sort of coming through the ranks, I feel like if I'm Ruben Amorim, I want to protect him a little bit. Yeah. I don't want to put him in the firing line at a time when Manchester United generally are so poor, and he could be the next in a long list of scapegoats. So I think if I was a manager, that would kind of be my stance on that. Clive, look, Manchester United's struggles are obvious, but as Arsenal fans, we can't help but go into games at Old Trafford feeling a little bit nervous. That's how I feel about it. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. The history's there, right? Whenever we go there, Manchester United, they find their Sunday best, don't they? And they tend to play well against Arsenal. In the FA Cup game, we spoke about mood, Angelina. I think the mood with the fans behind that goal, Manchester United dominated the stadium in that game, and the players played for them. I think the mood has got worse since then, and that's my worry in front of the home fans. That disconnect between the players and the fans could really manifest itself into a poor performance. And okay, now Arsenal have found their scoring boots. It could be different. The mood is key to any football club, and the things that are happening at Manchester United off the pitch to staff, that's a real worry for just normal people. It's a real worry. But I feel sorry for the fans that go every single week that they're seeing this happen to the club and seeing hundreds of millions going interest payments. It must be absolutely soul destroying. But back to the football, I'm hopeful that Man United don't find their courage and bravery like they did in the FA Cup game, and we can go from there.
Adrian, how are you feeling going into this one?
Yeah, a lot more confident after the PSV performance, that is for sure. What I would like to see is a repeat, because Manchester United don't have a lot of attacking players, full stop. I mean, the way that Amorim sets up with sort of full-backs as wing-backs, he doesn't have many natural goal scorers in the team. Often there's just 3 attacking players in the side. So I think Arsenal can afford to take risks in this game. We can afford to release that handbrake that we were talking about and play with that buccaneering adventure that we saw in the Netherlands. I want to see mayhem again in terms of our movement, because I think it could, if it can bamboozle PSV, it can absolutely do the same to Manchester United, who are in a bad place. So Arsenal will never have a better opportunity to play in a slightly carefree manner than they have this weekend. Because let's face it, the pressure of the title race is kind of eased a little bit, hasn't it? Let's go there.
Come back in there.
Let's go there.
Clive still thinks we're going to win it.
Well, let's go there. Let's go there and just rip it up and have a little bit of fun and hopefully torment the Red Devils. Yeah.
Angelina, we've been talking a lot about Man United's off-the-field problems, right? And it's fair to say that those problems stem back a long way. Ruben Amorim, though, he's come in. I feel like he has a responsibility to try and stop the ship sinking before he then moves on to start implementing his style. I guess he would argue that if you don't do it from the beginning, you're never going to get that message across. But what's the mood from the Man United fans at the minute towards him? Is there a feeling that he hasn't done enough to try and deal with the issues that exist, and that he is so laser focused on this style of play that he wants to implement that he's allowing them to sink further and further?
I think that because the Glazers and Ineos, there are so many issues that you guys have alluded to, and even just things, you know, like the redundancies that are happening. You know, I'm from Manchester. Manchester is actually quite a small city in some ways. Everyone knows everyone, and there'll be a lot of people that will know people that have been affected by this, fans that are paying, what is it, 66 quid now to go and watch shambolic football. They'll know people that are being affected by this. So I think fans have got way more focus on that side of the story. Maybe if the club was run better, I mean, probably wouldn't be in this situation, but maybe people would have more of a focus on what Amorim is doing. Fans, in my opinion, from the people that I speak to, get frustrated sometimes with some of the decisions. People think, oh, could he tweak it a bit? Or why is he starting certain players over others, etc. It seemed like it was a bit of a, you know, like a pre-season almost at the beginning, and I think he's kind of taking the Premier League as that, as he's been trying different people starting, different people on the bench, etc. But I think the main issue, and this is why fans are maybe laying off him, is because we know the players are the problem. The player mentality at Manchester United is abysmal, and I genuinely think, and I've said this on Inside Devils, if he, and he wrote it in a pre-match programme a couple of months ago, if I divert from this, it will be like going back to square one, and we're going to have to reset and go through all of this pain again. And I understand what he's saying, because I wouldn't put it past these players. I don't know them personally, but it wouldn't surprise me if he said, right, you know what, guys, we're going to play with something that's more comfortable for you lot. They'd be like, yeah, I told you it wouldn't last. So they genuinely think they can outlive everyone, these players. And I think for fans, even though it's not going well, there is still a style of play, there is a formation, and with Erik ten Hag, that was the running joke of people would say, what's your style of play? What formation are you playing, etc. So I think that because of that, fans are sticking with him. And Man United fans are, I think, in my opinion, maybe I'm a bit biased, I think they're pretty loyal as things go. I mean, you see the way that Chelsea fans react sometimes, and, you know, they're not happy because of A, B and C. You know, I think United fans do sit back and they do take it sometimes, but I think because of the other things that are going on in the players, Amorim's getting away with it a little bit. If things were different, people would maybe be calling it out a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, he's not the first port of call in terms of Manchester United's troubles, is he? That's for sure.
Yeah.
We've got two of the best tactical minds in the business sitting here, so I've got to ask you guys, in terms of Amorim's system, which we've touched on, Clive, I'll start with you first. Does that suit Arsenal? The fact that they're going to play with the wing backs, the fact that they set up in the shape that they do, does that suit Arsenal, or is it something that we're going to have to adjust ourselves to be able to deal with?
We've done quite well against those systems in the past. I think I like the system. Honestly, I'll say I like it, but it's about having the right profiles of players in that system, and Manchester United haven't got that yet. You know, and but I've seen it work, and obviously Chelsea did it in the past, and other teams done it in the past. So it's not the system; it's the players within it. I think if I'm setting up, I'm looking at the centre backs. I'm trying to get on the outside of them, and I'm going to try to stretch them a little bit, and I'm going to make them move around and break their solidity there. But when you do that, you have to have the ability to spring out. I think Manchester are lacking that spring. Yeah. When it goes into Xerxes, it sometimes sticks, doesn't stick. You can go back open again. It's all about, Angela, you're absolutely right. It's all about the players. It really is, to make any system work. And he's made his decision to go with that. And if he wasn't going to do it, he needed to not do it from the first few games. But now he's there, he's got to stay there. So we know what's coming, right?
Yeah.
We know what's coming.
Sometimes you can park tactics a little bit and just test the opposition. And I think when you've got maybe a fractured dressing room or a dressing room that's a little bit temperamental, the best thing you can do as a visiting team is test them and test them with runs. Let's see how much they want it. Let's see how much they want to follow Declan Rice into the box. Full-backs. Does Garnacho want to come with Timber or not? Let's try it out. Yeah. Let's not play it safe at Old Trafford. Let's release the carnage and see what they're capable of. I think there will be spaces, but you know that back three will turn into a back five at times. Of course it will. But if Arsenal's movement is as good as it was against PSV, then Arsenal should win the game.
Let's get some predictions then. Angelina, you're our guest, so you get to go first. How do you see it going on Sunday?
It's so difficult because I hate to come on any shows and be negative about Manchester United, but I'm starting to look really delusional, and it's actually starting to affect me. Like, I feel like people are looking at me thinking, no, I'm laughing with you. You're not even just laughing at me, I'm laughing with you guys. It's to the point where it's a bit like, Angelina, are you really going to try and find a positive in this? And even though I'm on a rival show, maybe I'm going to get stick from Flex and Crooked. No, because Flex has been quite negative recently. So you know what? Unfortunately, I think it comes down to the fact that you guys can score goals, Man United can't. Man United have been showing up for the glamorous games a bit more, you know, City, Liverpool against you guys before. Maybe they'll wake up and feel like they want to play football, but we don't know. So I genuinely think that you guys will win this 3-1.
Adrian?
Yeah, I'm weirdly confident. I think that our record at Old Trafford is pretty poor, so that makes me feel nervous. But
Old Trafford's not what it was, though, especially this season.
No, exactly. So if Arsenal go there with the attitude that I've been talking about, I think we'll win 3-0.
Clive?
See, I'm a wise old dude. I think I'm taking 1-0 right now because I just know the amount of times I've gone to Old Trafford thinking we've got them this time.
Yeah,
and something we haven't. And so I'll be happy with a 1-0 and talk about it afterwards.